Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, May 22nd, 2021. My name is Karen Bodenschatz, and I serve as Associate Pastor at First Lutheran Church in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and this is my morning musing. So tomorrow is Pentecost, that day when the church celebrates the coming of the Holy Spirit in a big and powerful way. And I've been thinking a lot about last Pentecost and this Pentecost and the two together, because last Pentecost I also got to preach. But it was also right after George Floyd was killed. And so for preachers all across the world, I would imagine, taking the text where Jesus breathes his Holy Spirit on people and it enlivens them, putting it next to this event that happened, this horrible event, where a man was screaming, "I can't breathe," was hard, but was profound. And for me anyways, set me on a new course in terms of seeking deeper understanding about a whole bunch of things. And so this year, while that's been in the back of my head, we also have the story of the Valley of the Dry Bones. And that's really where my interest has been as I prepare my sermon for tomorrow. Because again, we have this image of God breathing life into these dry bones. And what I've been thinking of is, I think a lot of us feel like that valley of dry bones. It's been a rough year. I mean, we're in a completely different place than we were last year, right? There was still a sense of hope and community in May of last year. And now we've just been through a really hard year. It's been 14 months, almost 15, of life in a weird way that feels like an alternative universe. So I've been pondering what it means then to have God's Spirit dwell in us after such a year. I'm not going to talk much about that so that you can hear it tomorrow in the sermon. But there's also this conversation that Jesus has with his disciples in his final discourse. We're still there in the Gospel of John. And he talks about the Holy Spirit. And he talks about it in such a way that we get the sense that the Holy Spirit has been around the whole time. And that, in fact, the one who has been this advocate, that's what Jesus calls the Holy Spirit, this advocate has been Jesus himself, and that Jesus has been embodying the Holy Spirit this whole time. And then we have this story, this telling that Jesus is saying to his disciples that this Holy Spirit will come upon them and will help them understand everything that Jesus is going to tell them. And I think about that, and that would also be a great sermon. So I'm going to talk about it here, since I'm not going to talk about it much tomorrow. But this idea that we carry the Spirit of the advocate with us. And what does that mean for us in our lives? And how do we then embody that so that we become advocates for all of creation, whether that be the beautiful creation that we live in, this earth, whether that be for other human beings, whether that be for the animals and anything. How do we then embody that Spirit as an advocate? And what is God calling us to advocate for? And then how do we take that as a community and say, this is how we're going to move forward? That we are going to be people known for the ways that they make their neighbors' lives better. Because that's what advocacy is, right? It's working to make their neighbors' lives better. Perhaps our lives too. So just as I talk about how we embody the creative spirit of God, I think we also embody the advocacy spirit of God, the one who intercedes. So that's a question I've been thinking about as the world starts opening up again, is how am I going to show up as an advocate? And I hope that's a question that you're asking yourselves. We're in this kind of really amazing period of time that we won't ever get again, where we get to make some pretty important decisions and reshape a little bit of what our life can look like going forward. I hope to see you tomorrow at worship. Remember, 10:30 is outside, unless it's raining. I don't think it will be, but just in case, bring your chairs, and we'll see you at worship. Until then, be well, be kind, for Christ is with you.